Hey everyone, Fuzz here. Today I'll be telling you a story of a mercenary who carried around a stuffed Tarrasque. For reference of why that's a little bit cute, the Tarrasque is one of the most dangerous foes to be in D20 games, usually capable of being near world ending. Enjoy. My character has a stuffed Tarrasque. No, not a real one, just a little one that he carries around with him. In all other regards, he is a tough mercenary who lacks any sense of a soft side. He takes what he wants, whenever he wants it, and respects no one who can't beat him in a fight. I will admit that it's somewhat jarring for such a character to carry around a stuffed animal, but I'm rather prone to allowing my characters to think for themselves, and this guy really likes his little Tarrasque toy. The other players in my group simply considered it an eccentricity of the character and didn't think too much about it, especially because their characters were far weirder and had odder habits and traits. However, my DM started to obsess about the stuffed animal. I didn't originally intend to hide the story behind the stuffed animal from my DM, but when he asked me what my character's reason for it was, I got a sense that it wasn't really the mood to explain it. I just dodged the question, fully intending to explain myself later. But my DM's attitude suddenly soured, and he demanded to know, saying that characters couldn't have any secrets that the DM didn't know. I decided to simply refuse that idea. I didn't tell him the reason why my character had a stuffed animal, and I had enough cheek to still ask for his permission for my character to have said stuffed animal. He likely would have refused if he could come up with a reason that wouldn't invalidate any other characters. But without such a reason, he gave me his permission. It wasn't even really an interesting story. He just received the toy as a child, and no one ever explained that only children play with toys. It was supposed to be a minor note of my character, a way to show that he didn't care what other people thought about him, and that he had different ideas on what made a man. However, my refusal to speak about it made everyone think there was some melodramatic story behind the toy, like it was a last gift from his dying mother, or a memento of a slain son. I tried to keep the toy as something that just listed on his character sheet under items, but my DM just couldn't get over the fact that I was keeping a part of my character's story to myself. The DM tried to make my character's life difficult, by having villagers ridicule him for carrying around the toy, people treating him like he had the mind of a child. When he realized that this didn't bother me, and some good role-playing resulted from it, he decided to change tact by simply trying to get rid of the toy. Fireballs started to damage our items. Thieves began to regularly visit us in the night. Ethereal filches, ragamuffins, moths and mold, sunlight and dirt, everything in the world that could either damage, steal, or eat my character's toy was thrown at it. Of course, my character would try to protect the Tarrasque, often very enthusiastically, until my character's sole-defining trait became how much he cared about his toy. But finally, it happened. A black dragon's acid breath, poor reflex saves, an overwhelming amount of damage. Half my backpack was destroyed, and the stuffed animal wasn't the hardest of my objects. My DM couldn't help but smile. We both understood how a story was crafted, and my character had a very small window in which he had a chance to explain the toy's story. When one of the other players asked him about it, he would either have to explain it, or it would just be decided that he never had a story to begin with, and the toy would eventually be forgotten as just a weird quirk of my character. It was either reveal the story while it was relevant, or throw away the chance forever. As much as I didn't want to tell the DM my story, I had to admit I was trapped. It's just how the story had to go. Otherwise, it would be a bad story. So after we killed the black dragon, the opportunity arose. A player asked me why I cared so much about the toy. I asked the group if they ever had any toys when they were children. After a brief moment, they all, except for the drow rogue, said they had. I asked if they really cared about a particular toy. Really cared about it. Took it with them everywhere. Some of them had, oddly enough. The DM chimed in, saying he remembered also having a stuffed animal he carried around with him everywhere until he was 8. I ignored him, and continued. I asked them what happened to the toy. There was a moment of silence as the players thought about it, and I helped them with an answer. You lost it, right? You couldn't find it one day, and you looked everywhere for it. You asked your parents if they had seen it, and they said it would turn up. So you cried a little here and there, but only because you were lonely. You still thought that you would find it eventually. Every few days you would search around the house, around the yard, thinking up new places to look, even though you knew all the places it could be. The days stretched into weeks, into months, until you lost hope and just had to accept that it was gone. You would never see your beloved toy again. You didn't realize. You never even imagined. It never even crossed your mind that something could convince your parents that you were too old to carry a toy with you everywhere. That's because you can't see it that way. You don't understand this idea, that losing your toy will make you better fed into society. You don't believe that it will help you learn about coping with grief and loss, that it will make you more mature. The thing you can't understand is how your parents can give you something, allow you to grow to love it more than anything else, and then take it away from you. I watched my parents take mine. They thought I was asleep. So, I left my home that night, because I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand what kind of person could see someone love something, to genuinely care about it, and then try to take it away from them. My DM sat across from me, but he couldn't even look at me. Wasn't that story kinda cute? Had a bit of dramatic irony at the end too. You know, I really like quirks like that about characters. You don't necessarily have to throw everything in people's faces at the table. Sometimes you can have something that your character has, something it does, or something it values for its own personal reasons that you just have for yourself, to remind you that the person is just that, its own person. It helps you to identify with it as a separate individual from yourself. I recommend people putting that level of depth into their characters when they make them. Ask yourself, what does my character like? What does it enjoy doing? What does it value? What are its hobbies? I've had a fair few characters that have had interesting little traits like that, and they've never even come to the party's attention at all. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't see it as wasted potential. Anyway, I've rambled enough about that. If you enjoyed the video, please go ahead and hit that like button, it helps us out a lot. Subscribing helps out even more. You can join our communities in the description, or support our work via Patreon. As always, have a good one.